Really, using the sun visors doesn't bother me, but these PDLC sheets seem perfect for a job like this. When no power is applied, they're opaque, but when you apply power, they become clear. Now normally these are used as a high-end alternative to normal window blinds, and they are quite expensive. Just these two sample sheets were like $45. But fortunately, all it's needed are these two sheets. The idea is to put the film up here on the windshield, then I'll make an Arduino PCB that will go up next to it. It will have a photo transistor that can sense the light, so when it detects there's a lot of light, it'll darken the film. When there isn't light, it'll make that film clear, and then both the passenger and driver side will have one. Pretty quickly, I encountered a problem, which was powering this film. I thought it would just be some DC voltage, and then I could just have a MOSFET on my circuit board that would control whether this film was on or off. And I don't know, maybe there need to be like a boost converter to bring up to the right voltage for this film, but really nothing too bad. It's not, it is AC voltage. It's 48 volts AC to be precise. And so that means I have to get it up to 48 volts, which is kind of a little bit, yeah. And then B, I have to actually make it AC, which is all kind of different from what I'm used to. So there's a problem.
So one thing I need to decide as well is like how I'm going to power this, because I was originally just going to go with like 5-volt USB input as the power, but like, and I haven't done a lot of research on it, but it sort of feels like it'd be easier to take like 12 volts up to 48 volts than to take 5 volts up to 48 volts. So I could do like the input is just like 12 volt car battery power. I don't think I'm going to do that though, because like it sounds a lot nicer to say that my USB powered device hit me in the head when I crashed than to say that my car battery powered device hit me in the head when I crashed. And I do kind of like the fact that the USB would be limited to like just 10 watts. I don't really want to crash and then get hit in the head by my device and then have it electrocute me with the full power of a car battery. Like that sounds rough. I think USB 5 volts, that sounds nice. That's just 2 injuries, the crash and then hitting me in the head part.
I elected to go with 5-volt input and then take this DC to DC converter that can boost it to 48 volts and then use an H-bridge to make it AC-ish. The H-bridge is so named because the diagram of the connections between the transistors in the H-bridge looks like an H. By changing what transistors are open and which are shut, I can change which output is positive and which is negative. So the Arduino will just have the H-bridge flip its outputs really quickly and you get this like AC square wave. And while it isn't a sine wave like it probably should be, it seems to work. I've got an Arduino wired up to an H-bridge, and the Arduino is just programmed to be flipping the outputs of the H-bridge back and forth at like 55, 60 hertz, which is hopefully what this is wanting. Now this is expecting 48 volts, but I haven't got a 48 volt power supply, so I'm just going to try this out with a 24 volt power supply and see if there's any hopefully I don't break it, and hopefully it shows some signs of life. Oh, that's working. Oh, sweet. We don't even have to have the full 48 volts. So I then took all the components and I stuck them on this board, and so we got your film connections up here with the DC converter will go here, and then you got like the sensors and a light and a slide switch, and then the Arduino's down here, and that's kind of it. That's all you need. Making a PCB gives me the opportunity to do something I've wanted to do for a while now, which is make and use a reflow oven. So I used this Adafruit guide to make one. It's pretty simple really. This pipe portal runs everything and reads the temperature from this thermocouple that is placed in the normal toaster oven. Then there's a relay that's wired to the main power of the toaster oven. The pipe portal can use this to turn the oven heat on or off depending on the temperature it's reading. I made a case for the relay and the power cord to go into, and another case to house the pipe portal and thermocouple amplifier. Connected all the cables and put it together, and voila, a reflow oven. Along with the PCBs, I ordered a stencil, which I've never done before, and when I was buying everything, it was late at night, and I was just kind of full sending things, and so the size of the stencil said something automatically generated or something like that, and so I'm thinking okay, it's it's been sized based off of the files I uploaded for the PCB. I was not expecting this stencil to be this big. It works. It wasn't that expensive, and it'll work, so okay. Working with the solder paste was surprisingly easy. I mean, it looked easy and satisfying in the videos I'd seen, which had led me to believe my own attempt to spread it over the stencil would be all finicky and difficult, but it really wasn't. Then it was on to placing the components, which really isn't too hard as long as you go slow and be sure to place things in the right spots. And then it was ready for the oven. Okay, we got right profile selected. Start. Oh, a nice glowing orange light. Oh, I think it melted. I think it might have. I think it is. Oh. There were a few through-hole components that had to be soldered on afterwards, but that didn't take too long, and pretty quickly it was all assembled. Both boards working first try. That is satisfying. Look at them. Oh, they look great. And they're kind of holiday themed. I'm happy with that. No, I'm not. And you want to know why I'm not okay with these? Because, like, I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out, but I don't have to have the circuit board up here with the film and the sensor. I can just have them down below in the bowels of the car, where they're not up near my face, where they might like hit me in the face if I crash, and they're just like down, out of sight, out of mind. But I didn't think of that. I don't know why. Maybe because I was so focused on trying to make the 48 volts AC, but like, and then it's like, okay, if I take the boards and put them down here, I wouldn't have to have two circuit boards. I could just have one circuit board with one Arduino and one DC to DC converter independently controlling this film and reading this sensor, and then just all ready. And if this sensor detects light, it darkens this film, and if this sensor detects light, it darkens this film. But I didn't think of it. And the boards that I have, I didn't break out any extra pins, or not enough, so I can't do that modular control of like, if this film darken this film or this film while reading from both sensors. I'm just stuck with the boards that I have, and this just like drives home the point for me that like you should always have some extra pins broken out, because like things are gonna go wrong. So after I'd calmed down, I realized it wasn't that bad a thing to have both films being controlled by one board and not have that individual control of the films, because like it would have been cool at first to have like, ooh, one's going dark and the other didn't, but it would have worn off. And that's assuming there would have even been situations where one was detecting light and the other one wasn't, because I feel like in most cases, if one is getting light, the other one is too, and they're just going to both be going dark. So I decided to use one board for both films. Now that this photoresistor is going to be on the end of a length of cable, I want to be able to plug the other side into the board, not just have it like, the cable soldered directly to the board. So I was kind of like thinking about how I wanted to do that, and it just so happens that two of these perfectly fit into the spots, like perfectly. And obviously it kind of makes sense that the prongs on the actual footprint would fit, but the spacing between these two just happens to be exactly right, and so they're like, just like flush. So I can't really pass up such a great opportunity to do it like this, even though it's kind of weird placement having it so close to this slide switch. But I'm gonna try to make it work, and design a case around having things like this. First test with both sheets wired up. Let's see if it works. Oh, we're getting some flickering. It turns out the single boost converter isn't powerful enough to handle both films, so I had a choice to make. So the way I see it, I have two options. I could go back to using two boards since I have this already assembled second board right here. And on the positive side, that would give me the ability to have, individual control of both films, which I was so crazy about before, but now I don't really care about. But it would also mean that like I'd be using two boards that just kind of feels like ugly and kind of inelegant, and I'd have to figure out where to place both boards. Which leads me to option 2, which would be to connect a second DC to DC converter on there as well, and just have like two stacked on there. And so then I'd just be using one board, but it would be like even chunkier and bigger and heavier. I don't like that either. I elected to switch back to two boards, which just meant modifying the cables before I was ready for a full test. Okay, first test with the full code. See how it goes. Is this doing anything? I don't think it's changing. I think it should be changing. Right now, the sensor is detecting light, so the film is dark. And I cover it up and the film goes clear. So far, I have been using PLA to print all the parts because it's easy and that's what I know. But that's not gonna work for the final version because it's gonna be in a car and that's gonna get too hot and the PLA is gonna all warp and deform and it's just not gonna last well. So I have decided to go with some ABS to get it to, because that'll hopefully be better in the car. Now, I realize printing in ABS isn't exactly new to the 3D printing community, but it's new to me. I've never actually done it before. And like, it's the middle of winter. I don't really want to open a window to have some ventilation for the ABS fumes. And I also don't have like an enclosure, heated or otherwise. But what I do have is a bathroom. And it has a like vent fan thing, of course. So like, what if I just printed like in here, like right around here? Like, and I realize this is kind of stupid, but like for some reason I'm really fixated on the idea of printing in my bathroom. And it's kind of perfect too, because look, I already have a space heater in here. So like, if I needed to, I could like set this up to like blow some hot air and like heat up the space a little bit to help with the ABS. Perfect. That is a weird sight for a bathroom, definitely. It took a couple tries, but I eventually managed to get some good parts. Which meant it was time to assemble things. The light sensors go in these little cases, some Gorilla Glue holds it all together, and the lid has these little clamp lip things to help hold the cable in place so it can't slide back out again. The PCBs go into what is definitely not the smartest case design, but it's okay because the end result looks pretty nice. So the PCBs are going to go right in here. I'm thinking some Velcro just along here. And then the cables are all going to come down through here. Originally I was going to have them come underneath this mat, but now I'm kind of rethinking that and thinking instead I'll just have them run underneath the glove box. And then over the side, not quite sure how they're going to go up through here. And then they're going through this pillar, and this is the part I'm kind of most nervous about because I'm going to remove this cover and run the cables underneath, and I've never like removed a car cover before, so that'll be interesting. And then of course there's an airbag in here, and that's like airbag. I definitely don't want to like trigger that, and I also don't want to like, you know, break it, and then later on when it needs to get triggered it doesn't deploy, or so, you know, want to make sure that the wires are kind of out of the way of the airbag and I don't break it. And then of course after that, I think running it up along the top won't be too bad. Doesn't seem too hard. And then the cables will just kind of come down from the top to the different you know, film and the sensor, and then run over further to the other side for that film and sensor. For actually installing it in the car, the films and the sensors go up on the windshield with some double-sided tape. Getting everything in just the place I wanted was a bit finicky, but it's okay because running the cables under the roof pan was also finicky. So, you know, there was some consistency, which is good. It's good that there was consistency because like my consistency at solving problems is not so good. So you need consistency coming from somewhere. I put the gray film in front of the sun and I was like, oh my, it's blinding. So that's why I got the black from that. And then it's like, well, you can't go darker than the black. So it you know, what's the point of testing? It's kind of as dark as you can get. But so this is the first time I'm actually like seeing the sun through the black, and it actually like it's good enough. It's working. After installing the cables, I tried to turn on the car, which went well. I don't even have anything plugged in yet. This was pretty alarming. I didn't expect like something this big to go wrong. I mean, my entire car being in jeopardy like this, and what could it be? I mean, I was just running a couple cables. Did I like jostle something or unplug something? I mean, getting all these errors and warnings. It's like, what could it possibly be that's causing all this? Yeah, I ran the battery down from running the lights. Nothing. At this point, I'm just like worrying and stressing that the cold has just completely killed the film and with it this entire project. But like, I've spent too much time and money on this to like just give up that as easily, of course. So like next day I went out and tried another go at it. It's actually working. That's cool. I'm thinking, at least for now, this will be its final installed form. It's still A little messy, but I think it's tidy enough. So you got your boxes here all plugged in, and then you got your cables all kind of routed down here, going up through here, hidden behind there, and then running along here. And you got the shotgun side film and sensor, and then driver's side film and sensor. Oh, there we go. I can stare directly at the sun. What I've always wanted. Oh yeah. And again. Perfect. Except of course the sun's over there, but you know what? Now, for the most part, I had just been focusing on the case where the sun is shining in my eyes, and I want to make sure that the film is dark there. And I wasn't so much worrying about like making sure that the film wouldn't be dark when the sun wasn't in my eyes. So I did some test drives around noon and discovered that like when the sun is like a little bit in front of me, but mostly just overhead, and it's definitely not in my eyes, the film would still darken. So I've been adjusting some things to try and dial in that sensor so it only triggers when it should. But even if I get it perfect for me, it's not going to be perfect for someone else of a different height. This has highlighted the need for some manual control. And from the get-go, I've had this slide switch, which allows you to select between just having the film dark 100% of the time, have it be clear 100% of the time, or have it be adaptive. But like, it's not really the easiest thing to manipulate, especially when you're driving. So I added this button, and the button just lets you just, press the button and it toggles the film to the other state. I also did not realize you were supposed to trim zip ties flush. Which is just like making me like question everything I've ever done on any project ever, because like how did I not know that? So I trimmed them flush so that way the passenger doesn't get their like leg shredded by these zip tie points. And I discovered that the film actually has an adhesive backing to it. So I didn't need to have this like ugly strip of clear double-sided tape. I could just have the film directly on the windshield, which will be great until the windshield gets a great big crack in it, which I'm sure will happen tomorrow. I kind of just did this project because it was there to be done. It wasn't like this whole big, oh, like it's gonna look so cool and amazing and I can't wait for that. It was just like, hey, there's this film and like what a cool application for it. And so I'm kind of surprised by how much I'm liking the end result. And it's not just having the film automatically darken and go clear. It's just like looking through this clear film is like so surprisingly pretty and beautiful to like look through this film. Now, it would be so cool to like have a bigger piece of film that goes across the entire top of the windshield, and then you wouldn't have this great big chunk of tape like running through your field of view. But like, I imagine that'll be a lot more expensive. It might even need to be like a custom piece of film, and my clunky power supply won't be able to handle that, so I'll have to like redesign all of that. So that's like a whole big thing. Project for another time. But yeah, that's kind of it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Is that a road? I am so confused as to what's going on here.